Hey everyone, welcome to Midnight Mystic Stories. I noticed a lot of you who are watching and enjoying the content aren't subscribed yet. If you love spine-chilling stories, creepy encounters, and unexplained mysteries, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It really helps the channel grow and helps us keep bringing more of the content you love. And be sure to comment below where you are tuning in from. Thank you and enjoy the video. So this happened a few months ago, right after I moved into that tiny studio apartment off 14th and Vine. You know the kind, old building, creaky floors, the kind of place where the landlord says it's got character, but really means the plumbing sounds like a dying raccoon. I didn't mind though. It was cheap, quiet, and far enough from my ex that I could finally breathe again. That's when I downloaded Tinder again. Not because I was desperate or anything, just bored. Swiping became this weird nightly ritual, like brushing my teeth, but with more disappointment. Then I saw her. Her name was Lila. Her first photo was this moody shot of her in a dimly lit bar, wearing a black turtleneck, looking off to the side like she didn't care you were watching. Her profile said she liked horror movies, black coffee, and rainy nights. She had this one line: "I don't believe in ghosts, but I've seen things I can't explain." That's what got me. Not the ghost part. Everyone says dumb stuff like that to seem mysterious, but the way it felt honest. Like she wasn't trying to impress anyone. I swiped right. Match. We started talking that same night. No awkward small talk, no "hey, how's your day?" She asked me if I'd ever felt like someone was watching me when no one was there. I said yeah, sometimes in that apartment, especially late at night when the heater kicks on and the walls groan. She replied, "It's not the walls." I laughed it off, but that message stuck with me. We kept texting. She lived about 20 minutes away, worked at some boutique gallery downtown, said she didn't go out much, preferred quiet places. We made plans to meet at this little coffee shop near her place. No big deal, just coffee, nothing intense. I shaved, put on my least wrinkled shirt, and actually gave a crap about how I looked. That should have been the first red flag. I don't do that. When I got there, she wasn't inside. I sat at a corner table, sipping black coffee that tasted like burnt rubber, checking my phone every 30 seconds. After 15 minutes, she texted, "Running late. Meet me at my place instead? Just around the corner. Address coming." I hesitated. I've been on enough bad dates to know better than to go to someone's house on the first meet. But something about her felt different. Calm. Like she already knew me. And the address was legit, right off Main, in a decent building with a buzzer and security cameras. So I went. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor. The hallway smelled like old wood and lemon cleaner. I knocked. The door opened slowly, but no one was behind it. Just darkness. Then her voice from inside, soft, "Come in." I'm in the back. I stepped in, the floor creaking under my shoes. The place was dim, lit only by a single lamp in the corner. Books everywhere, stacked like walls. A record player spinning some slow jazz I didn't recognize. She was sitting on the couch, barefoot, wearing the same black turtleneck from her photo. She didn't look up when I walked in. You could cut the air with a knife. Not creepy, not yet, just heavy. Like the room was holding its breath. I sat across from her, tried to make small talk. She answered in short sentences, eyes fixed somewhere past my shoulder. I asked if she was okay. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You're here now. That's what matters." We talked for maybe 20 minutes. She asked about my job, my family, why I moved. I told her about the apartment, the noises at night. She nodded like she already knew. Then she said, "You ever feel like the house remembers things you don't?" I told her I didn't get what she meant. She leaned forward, voice dropping, like it keeps echoes, of people who lived there before, of things that happened. I laughed, but it came out nervous. She didn't laugh, just stared. That's when I noticed the photos on the wall behind her. Dozens of them. All the same woman, different angles, different outfits. Same face. Same black turtleneck. My stomach dropped. "That's you?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she got up, walked to the kitchen, and came back with 2 mugs. Handed me one. Chamomile. It helps with the quiet. I took it, but didn't drink. The steam smelled wrong, too sweet chemical. I set it on the table. She watched me, unblinking. Then she said, "You know why I asked you here?" I said I thought it was for coffee. "No," she said. "I've been waiting for someone like you." My skin went cold. I stood up, said I should probably go. She didn't move. Just sat there, hands folded, like she was waiting for me to realize something. I turned toward the door. It was closed. I don't remember it closing. I reached for the knob. Locked. "You're not the first," she said, still calm. "But you're the one who answered." I turned back. "What are you talking about?" She stood slowly. "Every time I asked someone if they felt watched, you're the only one who said yes. The others laughed. Or said no. But you felt it too." I backed up until I hit the wall. My heart was slamming against my ribs. "Let me out." She took a step forward. "The apartment you're in, it used to be mine. I lived there 3 years ago. I stopped going out. Stopped answering messages. One day, I didn't wake up. Overdose. They found me 2 weeks later." I couldn't breathe. My legs felt like they'd give out. "You moved into my old place," she said. "And now you feel what I felt. The watching. The cold spots. The footsteps when no one's there. That's me. I've been trying to talk to you. But you only hear me in dreams. So I made this profile. Found you. Brought you here." I wanted to scream, but my throat was locked. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be real. She wasn't real. I was hallucinating. Stress. Lack of sleep. Anything but this. Then she smiled. Not the empty one from before. This one was sad. "I didn't want to scare you, but I needed you to know. You're not crazy. It's not the house. It's me. I'm still there. And I'm not alone. What do you want?" I finally managed. "To leave," she whispered. "But I can't. Not until someone sees me. Really sees me. Not as a ghost. Not as a memory. As someone who was real. You did. That's why you're here." I looked at the photos again. All of her. Every version. Every moment. And then it hit me, the turtleneck. I'd seen it before. In my bathroom. Hanging on the back of the door. I'd thought it was left behind by the last tenant. I'd worn it once, just to sleep. Felt weirdly comfortable, like it fit too well. "You've been in my apartment," I said. She nodded. "Every night. Watching. Waiting. I left pieces of myself behind. Clothes. Notes. You threw them out, but I kept coming back." I remembered the cold spot near the closet. The way my phone would die at exactly 2:17 a.m. The dream I kept having. Someone standing over me, whispering, "You're not alone." I looked at her, really looked. Not at the ghost, not at the fear, but at the person. The girl who lived and died alone. Who just wanted to be seen. And then I did something stupid. I reached out, touched her hand. It wasn't cold. Not ice, not mist. Warm. Real. Like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole afterlife. She gasped. Tears in her eyes. "You felt me." I didn't know what to say. I just nodded. She smiled full this time. Then she started to fade. Not dramatically, not with a flash. Just lighter. Like smoke and sunlight. The room warmed. The record stopped. The door clicked open behind me. I turned. The hallway was normal. Bright. Quiet. I walked out. Didn't look back. Got home. Took off my shirt. Threw it in the hamper. Went to bed. That night, I woke up to the sound of the heater kicking on, groaning through the pipes. But this time, it wasn't scary. Just noise. I rolled over. On the pillow next to me was a single black hair. Long. Not mine. I picked it up. Held it between my fingers. Then I put it in the pocket of my jeans. The ones I wear every day. I don't know if she's still here. I don't know if she ever really left. But last night, I woke up and the turtleneck was on the floor. Folded neatly. Like someone had taken it off and placed it there. And for the first time since I moved in, the apartment didn't feel empty. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who ends up on one of those true crime podcasts. You know the ones, where some smooth-voiced narrator says, "This week, we're looking into the case of a 23-year-old man who vanished after a Tinder date in the woods outside of Asheville." That's not supposed to be me. I'm just some dude who works at a bike shop lives in a studio apartment with a leaky faucet, and scrolls through dating apps when I can't sleep. But here I am, writing this down because I need someone to know what happened, even if I don't fully understand it myself. It started like any other Sunday night. Rain tapping the window, microwave burrito half-eaten on the coffee table, phone glowing in the dark. I swiped right on her profile, without really thinking. Her name was Lila. Picture showed her standing in front of a waterfall, long dark hair, smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Bio said she liked long walks, horror movies, and quiet places. Something about that last part stuck with me. Most people say beaches or concerts or brunch spots. Quiet places. That felt different. Real. I messaged her something dumb like, "So what's the quietest place you've ever been?" And she replied fast, faster than anyone ever does, saying, "The old fire tower on Black Pine Ridge. You can see the whole valley from up there. No one ever goes." I didn't think much of it at first, but then she sent another message. "You seem like someone who'd get it." Get what? I didn't ask. I just said I'd meet her there the next night. Black Pine Ridge wasn't far, maybe 40 minutes north of town, past the last gas station and into the national forest. I drove up in my beat-up Honda, windows down, music low. The air smelled like wet pine and something else, something faintly metallic, like old coins or rust. The road got narrower, then turned to gravel, then just stopped at a rusted gate with a "no trespassing" sign that looked like it hadn't been touched in years. I parked, grabbed my flashlight, and started walking. The trail was barely visible, overgrown with ferns and slick from the rain. My shoes sank into the mud, and the trees leaned in close, branches scraping my shoulders like they were trying to stop me. I kept thinking about how weird it was that she wanted to meet here. No restaurant, no bar, no public place. Just a decaying fire tower in the middle of nowhere. But I told myself she was probably just different. Mysterious. Interesting. That's what I kept saying in my head. Interesting. Like that made it okay. When I finally saw the tower, it looked like something out of a nightmare. Rusted metal stairs spiraled up into the dark, the platform above swaying slightly in the wind. The wood was splintered, the railing bent. I called her name, but my voice didn't carry. Just got swallowed by the trees. I climbed anyway, each step creaking under my weight, the whole structure groaning like it might collapse at any second. At the top, she was already there. She wasn't facing me, just standing at the edge, looking out over the valley. The moon was full, casting long shadows across her face when she finally turned. Her eyes were too wide, too dark. She smiled, but it wasn't friendly. It was like she was remembering something I wasn't part of. We didn't talk much. She asked if I liked the view. I said it was incredible. She said, "It's better when you know what you're looking at." Then she pointed to a spot in the trees below, a clearing I hadn't noticed before. There was something down there, a shape. I squinted, tried to make it out. Looked like a car, an old one, covered in moss and vines, almost like it had grown out of the ground. "That's been there since the 70s, she said. "Guy drove up here, never came back. They found the car a year later. No body, just a journal in the glove compartment. He wrote that someone was watching him, that the forest wasn't empty." I laughed, but it came out wrong, too loud, too fast. She didn't laugh, just kept staring at me like she was waiting for me to say something important. Then she asked, "Do you believe in déjà vu?" I said sure, everyone does. She nodded slowly and said, "I've had the same dream for years. Me and someone else up here. Same night, same tower. And every time, it ends the same way." I asked how. She didn't answer. Just stepped closer. Too close. Her breath was cold, even though the air wasn't. She reached out and touched my chest, right over my heart. Her fingers were dry, rough, like tree bark. "You're him," she whispered. "You're always him." I took a step back. My foot hit the edge of the platform. The metal groaned. I looked down and saw that the bolts were loose, rust eating through the joints. One good push and the whole thing might give. She followed me with her eyes, still smiling. "Last time you ran, but you didn't make it down the stairs. The forest doesn't let people leave once they've been chosen." My pulse was in my throat. I wanted to laugh again, to say this was some fucked up joke, but nothing came out. She wasn't acting like someone playing a prank. She believed every word. "I don't even know you," I said, voice cracking. "You do," she said. "You just don't remember yet." Then she told me about the journal, the guy in the car, how he wrote about a woman who looked just like her, how he came up here for a date, how he felt the air change, how the trees seemed to lean in, how he heard his name, but no one was there, and how, in the last entry, he wrote, "She says I've been here before, that I always come back, that this isn't the first time I've died." I turned to leave. My hands were shaking. The stairs swayed under me, each step louder than the last. I didn't look back. I just ran, boots slamming against the metal, branches whipping my arms as I crashed down the trail. My car was still there. I fumbled with the keys, started the engine, peeled out onto the gravel. I didn't stop driving until I was back in town, pulled into a gas station, hands still trembling. I called the cops, told them about the car in the woods. They said they'd check it out, but their tone made it clear they didn't believe me. Probably thought I was some stoner who got spooked on a hike. I didn't go back to work the next day. Didn't answer my phone. Just sat in my apartment, blinds drawn, replaying everything. The way she touched my chest. The way she said, "You're always him." It didn't make sense. Couldn't be real. Then, 2 days later, I got a notification. Lila had messaged me. "Still thinking about you," it said. "Same time next week." I blocked her, deleted the app, threw my phone in the other room like it was contaminated. But last night, I woke up to the sound of tapping. Not on the door, on the window. I looked over. There she was, standing in the street, head tilted, eyes reflecting the streetlight like an animal's. She didn't move, just stared. I didn't call the police. I didn't scream. I just watched her until she turned and walked away. This morning, I found something in my jacket pocket, a small, folded piece of paper. I don't remember putting it there. Unfolded it. Handwriting I didn't recognize. Said, "You don't remember because you're not supposed to. It's better this way. The forest needs balance. One leaves, one stays. Always has. Always will." And underneath, a date. 10 years ago. Same night. Same tower. Only the name in the police report wasn't mine. It was hers. I never thought swiping right on some random guy's profile would end with me sitting in my car outside an abandoned gas station at 2:17 a.m., heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted out. But here I am, engine off, hands frozen on the steering wheel, staring at the flickering streetlight that buzzes like a dying wasp. The screen on my phone glows faintly in my lap, still open to his last message. Asterisk, "You're almost here. I can see your car. Asterisk." Except he shouldn't be able to. I just got here. I didn't tell him my car. I didn't even tell him I was driving. It started 3 days ago. I was bored, scrolling through Tinder like I do when I can't sleep, half watching a dumb cooking show in the background. That's when I saw him. His name was Jason. Profile pic showed him leaning against a motorcycle, sunglasses on, messy dark hair, a faint smirk. Bio said he liked long drives, horror movies, and making people laugh. Nothing crazy, but something about the way he held himself, confident but not arrogant, made me swipe right. Match. He messaged fast. "Hey, you look like someone who actually has stories," I laughed. That was different. Most guys say something about my eyes or ask if I'm single. We started talking, and honestly, it felt easy. He wasn't pushy. He asked questions, remembered little things I mentioned, like how I hate cilantro or that I once got lost in a corn maze for 2 hours. After a day of back and forth, he suggested meeting up. I wasn't really feeling it at first. Meeting strangers is sketchy, no doubt, but he seemed chill. Plus, he sent a video selfie just to prove he was real. There he was, talking to the camera in what looked like a garage, holding up that day's newspaper. It felt legit, so I agreed. Coffee. Neutral place. Just to see. But then, last night, he texted. "Want to do something different?" He said he found this old gas station off Route 9. Shut down for years. Said it had the best view of the stars, and that he goes there sometimes to think. Said it was quiet. Peaceful. Said I'd like it. I hesitated. That's not exactly a first date spot. But he made it sound almost poetic, like it meant something. And for some reason, I said yes. Now I'm sitting here, and nothing feels peaceful. The gas station is a ghost of what it used to be. Cracked asphalt, boarded up windows, a faded sign that reads Petromax with the P hanging by one screw. The pump island is rusted, vines crawling up the concrete. No lights on inside. No movement. Just the wind whistling through broken glass. I check my phone again. No new messages. I type I'm here, then delete it. Why would I announce myself? What if he's already watching? I glance around. Nothing. Just shadows. I crack the window an inch. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth and old oil. A crow caws somewhere in the distance. I start counting the seconds in my head, like I used to do as a kid when I was scared. 1, 2, 3. Then my phone buzzes. Come inside. My stomach drops. Inside. The place looks like it could collapse if I sneeze near it. I type back. Asterisk, it's locked. And dark. Asterisk, his reply comes instantly. Asterisk, use the side door. It's open. I'm waiting. Asterisk. I don't want to. But I came this far. And part of me still thinks maybe this is just some weird romantic gesture. Maybe he's got candles in there or something. So I grab my keys, step out, and lock the car behind me. The crunch of gravel under my shoes is too loud. I walk along the side of the building, flashlight on my phone cutting a shaky beam through the dark. There's a door, half hidden behind a stack of rotting pallets. It's slightly ajar, just like he said. I push it open. The hinges scream. Inside, it's freezing. Dust hangs in the air like fog. The counter is smashed, shelves overturned. A register lies on its side, guts spilled out. I step forward, my light sweeping across the floor. That's when I see it, footprints. Fresh ones, leading toward the back room. My pulse kicks up. I follow them, moving slow. The door to the back is cracked. I push it with my foot. Darkness. I aim the light inside. It's a storage room. Boxes stacked high. And in the corner, something shiny. I step closer. It's a phone. Sitting on a crate. Screen facing up. I pick it up. It's not mine. But when I turn it on, my blood turns to ice. It's my lock screen. Same photo. Same wallpaper. Same app layout. Even the same low battery warning, 17%. I drop it like it burned me. Back up fast. My breath comes in short bursts. This isn't possible. I look at my own phone. Still in my hand. Still on. Still 17%. I spin around, ready to run, when I hear it. A soft click. The door slams shut behind me. I rush to it, yank the handle. Locked. I bang on it. Hey, Jason, this isn't funny. My voice echoes hollow. Then the lights come on. Not the room lights. Those are dead. But the phone in the corner. It powers on again. And this time, the screen shows a video. Playing automatically. It's me. Me walking into my apartment earlier today. Me taking off my jacket. Me sitting on the couch, scrolling through Tinder. Me texting Jason. The camera angle is high, like from the ceiling. Like someone was watching. Recording. I stumble back, hitting a shelf. Dust rains down. The video keeps playing. Then it cuts to another clip, me getting into my car. Me driving. Me turning onto Route 9. Me pulling into the gas station. All from angles that shouldn't exist. Angles only someone following me could get. My hands shake so bad I can't hold the phone. I drop it again. It doesn't break. The screen stays on. The video stops. Now it's just a photo. A selfie. Jason. But not the one from his profile. This one's older. Grainy. Taken in what looks like a hospital room. He's pale. Tubes in his arms. And behind him, in the reflection of the glass, is a TV. On the screen, me. On a news segment. Reporter talking. Caption. Asterisk, local man dies in hit and run. Family seeks answers. Asterisk. I remember that story. It was last year. Guy got hit by a car late at night. Driver never stopped. I saw it on the news. I even thought, that's so messed up. Now I'm realizing I was driving that night. Late. Coming back from a party. It was raining. I hit something. I thought it was a deer. I panicked. I didn't stop. I told myself it was nothing. I convinced myself. But it wasn't a deer. The phone buzzes again. New message. From Jason. Asterisk, you left me there. Bleeding. Alone. I called for help. No one came. You just drove away. Asterisk. I back into the wall. Can't breathe. The air is too thick. The lights above flicker, once, twice, then stay on. Not bright. Just enough. And then I see it. On the far wall. Spray painted in red. You didn't even look. I scream. I don't care. I kick at the door. Plead. Beg. But then the phone chimes again. Asterisk, you want to know how I found you? You tagged your location in 3 posts last week. You use the same password on every site. You post your routine like it's nothing. I didn't need magic. I just needed you to be careless. Asterisk. I slide down the wall. Can't stand. Can't think. The phone dims. Then goes black. Silence. Then the door unlocks with a soft click. I don't move. I just stare at it. It creaks open on its own. Outside, the night is still. No wind. No sound. I crawl out. On my hands and knees. I don't look back. I run to my car. Fumble with the keys. Start it. Peel out, tires screeching. I drive. Fast. Don't stop. Don't slow. Don't think. Hours later, I'm home. Locked the door. Checked every room. Every closet. Every window. I sit on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at my phone. It's dead now. Charged it, but it won't turn on. Just black. I grab my laptop instead. Need to see. Need to know if any of it was real. I search Petromax gas station Route 9. Nothing comes up. No records. No news. No photos. Like it never existed. I search Jason Hit and Run. Same thing. No results. I check my social media. My posts. Everything's there. But when I look at my tag locations, 3 are missing. The ones from last week. The ones near Route 9. I close the laptop. Sit in the dark. And then my phone buzzes. Not my phone. The one on the coffee table. The one that's been dead for hours. It lights up. One new message. Asterisk, you're home now. I'm still watching. Good night, asterisk. So there I was, scrolling through Tinder like I do every night, half bored, half hoping something weird might happen. Not like weird, but you know, something different. A message that didn't say hey, or some dumb meme about tacos. I've been on the app for years, swiped through hundreds of faces, had a few drinks with people who turned out to be either too quiet or way too loud, and honestly, I was starting to think dating apps were just digital purgatory. But then I saw him. His name was Julian. Clean cut, dark hair, eyes that looked like they could see through walls. Not in a creepy way. Well, not at first anyway. His bio was short. I like long walks, quiet nights, and things that don't make sense. That last part caught me. Most people write, I like travel, tacos, and Netflix. This felt different. His photos weren't staged. No gym selfies, no fishing poles, no awkward attempts at looking mysterious in a leather jacket. Just him, standing in front of a forest, another in what looked like an old library, one where he was laughing at something off camera. Real. Human. I swiped right. Match. He messaged fast. You seem like someone who wouldn't run if things got strange. I laughed. That was the kind of line you'd expect from a guy trying too hard. But the way he said it felt calm, like he was testing the water, not trying to impress. I replied, depends how strange. He said, let's find out. And just like that, we were talking. Not small talk. Real talk. About dreams we couldn't explain. Places we felt drawn to for no reason. That feeling when you wake up and swear someone was in the room. He said he'd always felt watched. Not in a bad way, just observed. I told him I used to sleepwalk as a kid. He said, you ever wake up somewhere and not remember how you got there? I said I had once, standing in my kitchen at 3 a.m. with a knife in my hand. He didn't flinch. Just said, interesting. We agreed to meet. Not a bar, not a coffee shop. He suggested a place called Hollow Pines, a state park about 30 minutes from the city. Said it was quiet, no cell service. Good for real conversation. Sounded sketchy, but I don't know. Something about him made me trust him. Maybe it was how he didn't push. Or how every message felt like it was meant only for me. Like he wasn't talking to 10 other people at the same time. I drove out on a Saturday night. The park was closed after dark, but there was a side trail off the main road, barely visible unless you knew where to look. I parked behind some trees, killed the headlights, and waited. 10 minutes later, a figure appeared between the pines. Tall, wearing a long coat, hands in his pockets. Julian. He walked slow, like he wasn't in a hurry. When he got close, he didn't say hi. Just looked at me, smiled a little, and nodded toward the woods. I followed. The air was thick, not humid, just heavy, like the forest was holding its breath. The path twisted, roots snaking across the ground, branches scraping at our clothes. No moon, just a sliver of light fighting through the canopy. We didn't talk. He didn't seem to want to. I kept looking at him, trying to read his face, but it was too dark. After maybe 20 minutes, we reached a clearing. In the center stood an old stone well, moss-covered, half-collapsed. Julian stopped in front of it and turned to me. "You ever wonder if some places remember?" he asked. I didn't answer. Something about the well felt wrong. Not scary, not exactly, but like it was watching us. Like it knew why we were there. He stepped closer to the edge and looked down. They say if you listen long enough, you can hear voices from the other side. I laughed, but it came out weak. Other side of what? The thin places, he said. Asterisk where the world isn't solid. Where things slip through. Asterisk. I took a step back. My skin felt tight. My ears popped, like I descended fast. He didn't move. Just stared into the well. Then I heard it. A whisper. Not words. Just sound. Like someone breathing at the bottom of a long tunnel. I froze. Julian smiled. "You hear that?" he said, still not looking at me. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The whisper grew louder, forming syllables, almost like a name. My name. I swear I heard my name. Julian turned to me then, eyes reflecting the dim light. "You've been here before," he said. Asterisk what? "No, I've never asterisk." "You don't remember," he said. Asterisk, but you were here. As a kid. You came with your dad. He told you not to look into the well. But you did, asterisk. My chest tightened. I had been to a place like this. When I was 7 or 8, my dad took me on a hike. We found an old well. He grabbed my arm, pulled me back, said, asterisk, don't look down. Don't ever look down. Asterisk, I never knew why. I forgot about it until now. How do you know that? I whispered. Because I was there, he said. I was the thing you saw. I stepped back. My foot hit a rock. I almost fell. You looked, he said. Asterisk, and I saw you. And I waited. For years. I knew you'd come back. Asterisk. The whisper wasn't coming from the well anymore. It was coming from him. The voice was the same. I turned and ran. Branches whipped my face. Roots tried to trip me. I didn't care. I just ran. Heart slamming, breath ragged. I didn't look back. I didn't stop until I reached the car. Locked the doors. Started the engine. Drove like a maniac down the dirt road. Tires spinning. Branches cracking under the wheels. I didn't sleep that night. Sat on the couch, lights on, every door locked. Kept thinking about his face. The way he smiled. The voice. The well. The next day, I deleted Tinder. Blocked his number. Told myself it was just some weirdo who knew how to mess with people's heads. Maybe he'd looked me up, found old photos, made up a story. That had to be it. But then, 3 days later, I got a package. No return address. Plain brown box. Inside was a photo. Old, faded. Me, age 7, standing in front of a stone well. My dad's hand on my shoulder. And behind us, barely visible in the shadows, a figure. Tall. Wearing a long coat. Face blurred. But the eyes, those dark, knowing eyes, were clear. On the back, handwritten. Asterisk, you always come back. You're already here. Asterisk. I threw the photo in the trash. Drove to a different city. Stayed in a motel for 2 nights. Came back home thinking it was over. But last night, I woke up standing in my kitchen, with a knife in my hand, and the back door wide open. I didn't remember getting out of bed. I don't know how long I was out there, but this morning I found footprints in the mud outside, leading from the woods to my doorstep, and once said they weren't mine. So this whole thing started like any other dumb weekend decision. Bored, scrolling through Tinder, because why not? Half asleep on my couch with a bag of sour gummy worms spilling onto the floor. I wasn't even looking for anything serious, just something to laugh about or maybe kill an hour with. My thumb swiped right on a few faces, most of them forgettable, until I saw him. His name was Caleb. Profile picture was him standing in front of a forest, wearing a gray hoodie, arms crossed, kind of intense stare. Not in a creepy way, more like he knew something you didn't. Bio said he liked long walks, horror movies, and making people laugh. Basic, but the photo had this vibe, like he wasn't trying too hard, which made me swipe right. Match. We started chatting that same night. He didn't bombard me with messages or send some weird pickup line. Just a simple hey, followed by a question about the last horror movie that actually scared me. I told him The Babadook, which felt like a safe answer, and he said he respected that. Said most people pick jump scare trash. We talked about films, music, dumb stuff like favorite pizza toppings. He liked anchovies. Weird, but okay. There was something smooth about how he wrote. No typos, no weird abbreviations, just clean sentences that made me feel like he was actually listening. After a few days, he asked if I wanted to meet up. I hesitated. Not because I was scared, just because I've done this before, and it usually ends with awkward small talk and me pretending to get a call so I can leave early. But Caleb was different. He suggested a quiet coffee shop near the river, nothing fancy. Said he liked the view. I said sure, why not? Day of the meetup, I overthought my outfit like an idiot, changed 3 times, and ended up wearing jeans and a band tee I've had since high school. Got there 10 minutes early. Place was small, dim lighting, wooden tables, the kind of spot where people bring laptops and pretend to write novels. I sat near the window, ordered a caramel latte, and waited. He walked in exactly on time, taller than I expected. Same hoodie from the photo, dark hair, sharp jawline, eyes that looked black in the low light. He smiled when he saw me, not too wide, just enough to seem genuine. Sat down, said hey, ordered black coffee. We talked. It flowed. No lulls, no forced topics. He asked about my job, my family, my favorite book. Listened like he actually cared. At one point he mentioned he lived out near the edge of town, close to the woods. Said it was quiet, peaceful. I joked about how that's where serial killers live. He didn't laugh, just tilted his head slightly and said, people assume the worst about quiet places. We ended up walking along the river after, just talking. Sun was setting, sky turning orange and purple. Reflection on the water looked like oil. He pointed out a heron standing still in the reeds. Said he comes here a lot, to clear his head. I believed him. There was a calmness to him, like he wasn't hiding anything. By the time we said goodbye, I was already looking forward to the next time. We started seeing each other more. Not every day, but enough. He'd text me little things. Saw this weird cloud. Thought of you. Or found a dead raccoon on the trail. Nature's recycling. Normal stuff, but with this edge. One night, he invited me to his place. Said he made pasta. I hesitated again. Going to someone's house that fast always feels risky, but everything about him felt safe. Plus, his place was just a small cabin on the outskirts, surrounded by trees. Not some isolated dungeon, but close enough to feel remote. Inside was neat. Minimalist. Gray walls, a leather couch, bookshelf full of old paperbacks. No photos. I asked about that. He said he doesn't like being photographed. Something about not wanting to be captured. I let it go. We ate at a small wooden table, candles lit, music playing low, some ambient stuff with no words. He kept looking at me while I talked, not in a creepy way, but like he was studying me, noticing things. After dinner, we sat on the couch. He asked if I believed in past lives. I laughed, said probably not. He said he did. Said sometimes he remembers things, places he's never been, faces he's never seen. Said he thinks he's lived before, and that some people are connected across lifetimes. I shrugged, said that sounded like something out of a bad romance movie. He just smiled and said, "You'll understand one day." That night, I stayed over. Slept in his bed. He slept on the couch. In the morning, I woke up and he was already up, standing at the foot of the bed, just watching me. Not moving. I sat up, asked if everything was okay. He said he liked seeing me peaceful. That sounded sweet at the time. Things kept going. Dates, messages, late-night calls. But slowly, stuff started feeling off. Little things. He never let me use his phone. Always kept it face down. Once, I saw a notification pop up, just a name, Sarah. I asked who that was. He said an old co-worker, deleted her number right after. But his hand shook when he said it. Another time, I noticed a locked drawer in his bedroom. Asked what was in it. He said tools. I didn't push. Then, one night, I couldn't sleep. Went to the kitchen for water. Passed his bedroom. Door was cracked. I peeked in. He was asleep, but his phone was on the nightstand, screen lit. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. Opened it. No password. Scrolled through his messages. Nothing from Sarah, but in his gallery, photos. Dozens of them. All women. All asleep. In different rooms, different beds. One looked familiar. I zoomed in. It was me. Taken that first night I stayed over. Then I saw another. Same girl from his Tinder profile. Same hoodie. Same forest. But she wasn't standing. She was lying down. Eyes closed. Hands folded. Like she was sleeping. Or buried. My stomach dropped. I backed out slow. Tried not to make noise. Went back to the couch. Pretended to sleep. In the morning, he acted normal. Made breakfast. Asked if I slept well. I said yes. Didn't look at him. Left as soon as I could. I blocked him. Deleted the app. Changed my number. Thought it was over. But last night I heard something. A knock. 3 slow taps on my bedroom window. I live on the 2nd floor. No trees nearby. I froze. Looked over. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One photo. Me. Last night. In my bed. Taken from outside the window. Caption. You left before I could show you the drawer. I didn't sleep. Sat up all night with the lights on. This morning, I checked the front door. No signs of forced entry. But on the welcome mat, there was a small pine cone. The kind from the forest behind his cabin. I know because I picked one up that first day we walked. Still have it on my dresser. I called the cops. They came. Looked around. Said without proof, there's nothing they can do. Told me to get a security system. Left. Now I'm sitting here, typing this. Windows locked. Doors chained. My phone is off. But I know it doesn't matter. He's not after attention. Or a fight. He's patient. He likes the quiet. Likes watching. Likes knowing you're scared but can't prove anything. And the worst part? I think I knew. Not at first. But little pieces were there. The way he looked at me like I was already his. The way he never asked about my future. Like he didn't think I'd have one. I keep thinking about that drawer. What's inside? Photos? Mementos? Something worse? Doesn't matter. Because he's not done. And I don't think he ever will be. I never thought swiping left or right could get me killed. Sounds dumb when you say out loud, right? Like one of those dumb warnings your mom throws at you when she thinks she's being deep. But I'm telling you, it wasn't the dark alleys or the sketchy neighborhoods that did it. It was a profile picture, a few clever messages, and the stupid, quiet hope that maybe this time, it wouldn't be another dead end. I matched with her on a Tuesday night. Rain was hitting my window like someone was flicking pebbles at the glass. I was bored, scrolling through profiles like I always do when I can't sleep. Her name was Lila. Profile pic showed her sitting on a wooden dock, legs dangling over still water, wearing a gray hoodie with the hood up. Her hair was dark, long, falling over one shoulder. You couldn't see her eyes, too much shadow, but her smile was soft, real. Not one of those fake, teeth-baring grins people force for the camera. She had 2 photos, the dock one, and another of a bookshelf, slightly out of focus, crammed with old-looking novels. No gym selfies, no group shots, no dog. Just her and books. I liked that. We started talking. She was smart, funny in a dry way. Asked questions that didn't feel like interview stuff. She lived on the edge of the city, near the old reservoir. Said she worked remotely, liked long walks when it rained. Said she didn't go out much. I told her I was a graphic designer, lived alone, liked horror movies and cheap pizza. We messaged for 3 days. It felt different. Not rushed. Not desperate. Like we were both just there, listening. Then she suggested meeting. Not a bar or a coffee shop. Too loud, she said. Too many people watching. She invited me to her place. Said she'd make tea. I hesitated. I've been burned before or ghosted. Stood up. One girl who brought her sister as a chaperone. But Lila didn't feel like that. There was something calm about her, like she already knew me. And honestly, I was tired of pretending I was chill when I was actually nervous. This felt easier. I drove out on Friday night. GPS took me down a winding road that turned to gravel, then dirt. Trees closed in on both sides, branches scraping the roof of my car like fingers. No streetlights, no houses, just forest and silence. I started second-guessing. Checked my phone, still had signal. Texted her I was close. She replied instantly. Asterisk turn left at the broken sign. I'll leave the porch light on, asterisk. The sign was half buried in weeds, letters faded. I turned. A narrow path led uphill. At the top, a small cabin. No, not a cabin. More like a shed someone expanded. With walls, crooked chimney, single yellow bulb glowing above the door. No cars. No lights in the windows. Just that one bulb, flickering like it might die any second. I parked, stepped out. Air was thick, damp. Smelled like wet earth and something else, metallic, like old pipes. I walked up the steps. Door opened before I could knock. She looked like her photo. Same hoodie. Same quiet smile. But up close, her skin was paler, almost grayish. Her eyes were dark, too dark, pupils huge even in the dim light. She stepped aside, gestured for me to come in. Inside was warm, cozy even. Wooden floors, a couch with a crocheted blanket, bookshelves everywhere. A kettle whistled in the kitchen. She moved slow, deliberate, like every motion took effort. We sat. She poured tea. Chamomile, she said. I sipped. It tasted bitter, not sweet like I expected. We talked. About books, movies, the weather, normal stuff. But something felt off. Not scary, just wrong. Like when you walk into a room and know someone was just there, even if it's empty. Her voice was soft, but it didn't match her lips. Like it was coming from somewhere behind her. And she never blinked. Not once. I excused myself to use the bathroom. She pointed down a short hall. I walked, hand brushing the wall for balance. The hallway was narrow, walls covered in framed photos. But not of people, of places. Empty roads, abandoned buildings, and one of a man, mid-30s, tired eyes, standing in front of a gas station. I recognized him. Me. I froze. Backed up. Checked the photo again. Yeah, that was me. Taken last month. From across the street. I turned, heart slamming, and she was there. Standing at the end of the hall. Not smiling anymore. I tried to play it cool. Asked how she got that photo. She tilted her head, like I was speaking another language. Then she said, "You don't remember me, do you?" I said I'd never seen her before. She stepped closer. Asterisk, you walked past me every day. Outside the coffee shop. You smiled. Sometimes you said hi. But you never really saw me, asterisk. I didn't know what to say. My skin felt tight. I wanted to leave. But my legs weren't listening. She reached out, touched my arm. Her fingers were cold. Asterisk, I waited. I tried. But you kept swiping. Matching. Meeting. And forgetting. So I made you stop, asterisk. That's when I noticed a phone on the kitchen counter. Mine. But it wasn't mine. Same case, same crack on the screen. But the lock screen was different. A photo of me, asleep on my couch, taken from inside my apartment. I backed toward the door. She didn't follow. Just watched. You're not the first, she said. But you're the one who finally replied. I ran. Didn't grab my keys. Just slammed out the door, down the steps, through the trees. Branches tore at my jacket. I didn't care. I reached the car, fumbled with the door, jumped in, started it, peeled out. Mud sprayed behind me. I didn't look back. Drove straight home. Locked the door. Checked every room. Window. Closet. Nothing. I sat on the floor, back against the couch, breathing hard. Took out my phone. Opened Tinder. Her profile was gone. I thought I was safe. But then I noticed something. My messages. The ones I sent to Lila. They were still there. But the replies, they weren't from her. They were from me. Every question I asked, every joke I made, answered in my own words. Same grammar, same slang, same typos. And the last message, sent an hour ago, from my number, to my number. Asterisk, you're home. I know. I'm still here. Asterisk. I turned off the phone, threw it on the couch, sat in the dark, listened. Then I heard it. A soft tapping. From the bathroom. I didn't have a roommate. Didn't have pets. I stood up, walked slow, hand on the wall. The tapping stopped. I reached the bathroom door, pushed it open. The mirror was fogged, and written in the steam, like someone had traced a finger through it, were 2 words. Still waiting. I didn't scream, didn't run, just stood there staring, because I knew. She wasn't in the house. She was in the phone, and I'd brought her home with me. It started like any other Friday night. Bored, scrolling, swiping. My thumb was on autopilot, flicking left on guys with gym selfies or bad lighting, right on the ones who looked like they might actually say something interesting. Then I saw him. Name was Dylan. Profile pic was him standing in front of a record store, wearing a faded denim jacket and holding a vinyl copy of some obscure post-punk album I'd never heard of. Bio said, looking for someone who likes bad coffee, long drives, and silence that doesn't feel awkward. That last part hit me. I've always hated forced conversation. So I swiped right. Match. We started talking. Not the usual, hey, how's your night garbage? He asked about the last dream I remembered. I told him I dreamed I was walking through an empty mall, the lights flickering, and every store had my name on the sign. He said that was the most real thing anyone's ever told him. We talked for hours. He didn't try to impress me. Didn't send memes or voice notes. Just typed slow, thoughtful messages that felt like they were pulled from his head right as he thought them. By 1 a.m., I was lying on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, phone glowing, feeling like I'd finally found someone who actually got it. Then he said he was on his way back from visiting his mom, stuck in traffic near the old highway exit 14. Asked if I wanted to meet up, just for a few minutes, no pressure. Said there was a gas station nearby he used to stop at when he was a kid. Said it closed down years ago, but the sign still lit up, sometimes during storms. I hesitated. I've never been the type to meet strangers, but something about the way he said it, like it wasn't even a big deal, made it feel normal, like we were already friends. So I said yes. Told him I'd drive out. I grabbed my hoodie, locked the door, and got in the car. The drive was quiet. No music, just the hum of the engine and the occasional streetlight blurring past. The closer I got to exit 14, the more the roads changed. Less streetlights, more trees pressing in on both sides. My GPS lost signal around mile 10. I was navigating by memory and the faint blue glow of my phone. When I saw the gas station, I almost drove past it. It wasn't just closed. It was rotting. The glass doors were cracked, one completely gone. Pumps rusted over, vines crawling up the metal. The sign above it, Pine Hollow Fuel, was half collapsed, but the neon flickered, like he said. Not all letters worked. Just underscore I underscore E underscore O underscore underscore O underscore underscore UEL. It pulsed slow, like a dying heartbeat. I parked near the edge of the lot, far from the building. No other cars. No movement. I texted him, I'm here. He replied, be there in 2. I waited, watched the shadows between the pumps. A shopping cart lay on its side, frozen in the weeds. Wind pushed a plastic bag across the asphalt, slow and deliberate, like it had a destination. 2 minutes passed, then 5, then 10. I checked my phone. No new messages. I thought about leaving, but then I saw it, a light, faint from inside the station. A flashlight beam, sweeping across the broken counter, then vanishing. My stomach tightened. I opened the car door, stepped out. The air was thick, smelled like wet soil and something sour underneath. I walked toward the entrance, eyes on the dark windows. Inside, it was worse. Shelves toppled. Candy wrappers stuck to the floor like fossils. The counter was covered in graffiti, names and dates carved into the wood. I stepped over a broken stool, called his name low. No answer. Just the echo, then silence. I pulled out my phone, used a flashlight. The beam caught something on the wall behind a register. Polaroids. Dozens of them, taped up in a messy grid. I stepped closer. They were all women. Different ages, different clothes, but same pose. Standing in front of cars, smiling, holding their phones. Some in parking lots. Some on empty roads. All at night. And every single one had a red circle drawn around their face. My breath stopped. I scanned photos. Then I saw one that made my legs go cold. Me. It was me. 2 weeks ago. Getting into my car outside my apartment. I remember that night. I was wearing this hoodie. The photo was taken from across the street, through the trees. My face was circled in red. Under it, written in shaky marker, asterisk she talks slow. Likes quiet. Close asterisk. I backed up, phone shaking in my hand. That's when I heard it. A soft click. Like a lock turning. I spun around. The front door was closing. Not blown by wind. Being shut. From the outside. I ran to it, grabbed the handle. Locked. I pounded on the glass. Hey, open the door. My voice bounced off the walls. No response. Then my phone buzzed. A message. From Dylan. Asterisk you're smarter than the others. They came inside. You're still looking for a way out. Asterisk. I stared at the screen. My hands were sweating. I typed who are you? Another buzz. Asterisk you like my profile. You matched. You came. That means you wanted this. Don't pretend you didn't feel it, the pull. The curiosity. You knew it might be dangerous. That's why you came. Not for me. For the thrill, asterisk. I didn't reply. I couldn't. My chest was tight. I turned the flashlight back on, swept it across the room. The photos. The graffiti. Then I saw it. A small door in the back, half hidden behind a fallen shelf. It was slightly open. Light leaking from under it. I moved toward it. Every step felt wrong, like I was walking into a dream I couldn't wake up from. The door creaked when I pushed it. Beyond it, stairs. Down. Into darkness. The air from below was colder, carried a smell like mildew and copper. I didn't want to go down, but I also couldn't stay here. Not with the door locked, not with his messages still coming. I took the first step, then the next. The walls were concrete, slick with moisture. The stairs spiraled down, deeper than they should have been for a gas station. At the bottom, a narrow hallway. Doors on both sides. All closed. One at the end had a glow underneath. I walked toward it, footsteps silent on the damp floor. The door was metal, cold to the touch. I pushed it open. The room was small. Concrete walls. A single bulb hanging from the ceiling. In the center, a chair. Facing the wall. On the wall, a monitor. Playing a video. Grainy, black and white. It showed the gas station parking lot. My car. Me getting out. Walking inside. The camera panned to follow me. Then cut to another angle, inside the station, behind the counter. Watching me look at the photos. Watching me panic. I turned around fast. No one behind me. Just the empty hallway. I looked back at the screen. It changed. Now it showed the stairwell. Me walking down. Step by step. Real time. He was watching me. From somewhere else in this place. My phone buzzed again. Asterisk you're almost here. I've waited for someone like you for a long time. Not scared too fast. Not stupid. You're thinking. Planning. That's good. I like that. Asterisk. I backed out of the room, shut the door, ran down the hall, tried the other doors. Locked. All of them. I went back to the stairs. Started up. Fast. My breath loud in my ears. When I reached the top, I threw my weight against the door. It didn't budge. Locked again. Another buzz. Asterisk you can't leave. Not yet. We haven't talked face to face. Not really. I want to see if your eyes are as quiet as your voice. Asterisk. I slid down against the door, phone in my lap. I looked at the messages. Scrolled up. Read every one. Then I noticed something. The first message he ever sent me, about his mom, had a typo. He wrote visiting my mom, but autocorrect changed mom to moms. As in plural. I didn't catch it then, but now it stuck out. And the profile. The record store in the photo. I'd looked it up after we matched. It burned down in 2018. The building's been empty since. My blood went still. He never existed. Not really. The profile. The messages. All of it set up. Automated. Triggered when someone matched. Designed to lure. To test. To see who would come. Who would go inside. Who would go down. I wasn't talking to Dylan. I was talking to the last person who came here. And now I'm sitting in my car. Engine off. Phone at 10%. Heart thumping like it's trying to escape. Because I made it out. I don't know how. I blacked out. Woke up in the driver's seat. Door unlocked. Keys in the ignition. The gas station behind me, dark. No flickering sign. No light from the windows. But my phone just buzzed. One new message. From my own number. It says, asterisk you're home. But you left your jacket downstairs. I think you'll want it back. Sounds stupid now, right? But back then, it was just another boring Tuesday night. Rain tapping against my window like someone was trying to get in. And me, half awake on the couch. Thumbs scrolling through faces that all looked the same. Smiles that didn't reach the eyes. Gym selfies. Fish with dead stares. Then I saw her. Her name was Lila. Profile pic was her laughing under string lights. Messy dark hair. Red lipstick smudged on a wine glass beside her. Bio said she liked vinyl records, thunderstorms, and making people uncomfortable. That last part made me pause. Not in a bad way. Just different. Real. I swiped right. Match. She messaged first. Said she liked that I didn't use a gym mirror pic. I laughed out loud. We talked for hours. Not small talk. Actual stuff. Fear of drowning. Why old hotels feel haunted. The sound of vinyl static. She said she lived 30 minutes outside the city, in a house her parents left her. Said it creaked at night, and the basement door always opened by itself. I told her that sounded like a horror movie setup. She said maybe it is. We planned to meet at this little dive bar downtown. Old brick walls, dim lights, the kind of place where people go to be seen, but also disappear. I got there early, ordered a beer, checked my phone. She texted, asterisk running late. Storm's bad. But I'm coming. Promise. Asterisk I sip my drink. Watch the rain blur the streetlights outside. The place emptied out slowly. Couple arguing in the corner. Guy passed out near the jukebox. Bartender wiping the same spot for 10 minutes. Then the lights flickered. Just once. But it felt heavy. Like the air changed. She walked in 5 minutes later. Exactly like her picture, but more. Her eyes were darker. Her laugh quieter. She wore a long coat, boots caked in mud. Said the storm messed up the roads. We talked. More than we had online. She told me about her mom's obsession with antique clocks. How they all stopped at 3:17 the day she died. I told her about the time I woke up at 3:17 every night for a month and couldn't explain why. She didn't flinch. Just smiled and said, asterisk some things don't need explaining. They just are, asterisk. We left around midnight. Rain hadn't let up. She said she didn't feel like driving. Asked if I wanted to come to her place. Said she had a record player and a bottle of something strong. I hesitated. Not because I was scared. Just something in the way she said it. Like she already knew I'd say yes. But I did. I followed her car out of the city. Streetlights thinning out. Trees closing in. Her house was set back from the road, surrounded by tall pines. Roof sagging in the middle like it was tired. No lights on. No cars. Just a single porch bulb, buzzing. Inside smelled like old wood and something sweet underneath. Candles everywhere, most burned down to stubs. She took my jacket, said she'd make tea. I wandered. Living room had a record player, shelves full of vinyl, a couch with a crocheted blanket. Nothing weird. But then I noticed the clocks. Dozens of them. Wall clocks, mantel clocks, one on the floor like it fell. All stopped. All at 3:17. I checked my phone. 11:48. I told myself it was a theme. A weird hobby. She came back with 2 mugs, handed me one. Said it was chamomile. I sipped. Tasted bitter. Like medicine. We sat on the couch. She put on a record. No label. Just black. Music started. Slow. Droning. Like wind through pipes. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I felt her breath on my neck. Calm at first. Then slower. Deeper. Like she was falling asleep. But her eyes were open. Staring at the ceiling. I shifted. She didn't move. I said her name. No response. I tapped her shoulder. Nothing. Her chest rose and fell, but it was too steady. Too even. Like a machine. I stood up. The music kept playing. I walked to the kitchen. Empty. Fridge humming. I opened a cabinet. Teacups. Spoons. Nothing strange. Then I saw the drawer. Slightly open. I pulled it. Knives. All sharp. All clean. Too clean. Like they'd never been used. But at the back, one had a dark stain near the handle. I touched it. Dry. Old. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Just a photo. Me, sitting on the couch, head tilted, eyes closed. Taken minutes ago. I turned. No camera. No phone in her hand. She was still on the couch. But now she was sitting upright, watching me, smiling. I said I should go. Carried my mug to the sink. She said, "You haven't finished your tea." I said I wasn't feeling well. She stood. Walk slow. Said the storm made the roads dangerous. Said I could sleep in the guest room. Just for the night. I said no thanks. Reached for my jacket. She didn't stop me. Just stood in the hallway, arms crossed. I opened the front door. Wind howled. Rain sideways. I stepped out. Turned to say goodbye. She was right behind me. Closer than before. Said, "You know, you're the 7th guy this year who's had that same look when they try to leave." I froze. Said I didn't know what she meant. She tilted her head. Asterisk, they all think they're the first. The one who'll figure it out. But they don't. And they never make it to the car. Asterisk, I backed up. She stepped forward. Asterisk, you drank the tea. You heard the record. You saw the clocks. You're already part of it now, asterisk. I ran. Down the steps, through the mud, toward my car. Keys in hand. Fumbled. Dropped them. Bent to grab them. Looked up. She was standing in the doorway. Not chasing. Just watching. I got in, started the engine. Tire spun on wet gravel. Finally caught. I sped down the drive. Heart slamming. Glanced in the rear view. She wasn't there. I exhaled. Pulled onto the main road. Drove fast. Kept checking the mirror. Nothing. Trees. Rain. Then a flicker. In the back seat. I looked. Empty. But the air felt thicker. Colder. I turned on the radio. Static. Changed stations. Same. Then, faintly, the same droning music from her record. I turned it off. Silence. Then a whisper. Not from the speakers. From behind me. "You didn't finish your tea." I hit the gas. Roads blurred. 10 minutes from home. I slowed. Calmed down. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe the tea was just strong. Maybe I was tired. I reached for my phone to call a friend. Screen lit up. Notifications. Dozens. All from Tinder. All matches. With Lila. Same profile. But different dates. Weeks apart. Months. One from today. One from last night. One from 3 days ago. And then I saw my own profile. Still active. Still swiping. But I hadn't opened the app in weeks. I pulled over. Checked the date on my phone. June 14th. That wasn't right. I remembered it being the 20th. I opened my calendar. June 14th. Repeated. Over and over. Past events. Future events. All on the 14th. I scrolled to messages. Texts from my sister. Same ones. Sent days ago. But time-stamped today. I called her. It rang. Went to voicemail. Same message. Same time. 3:17 p.m. I looked in the rearview again. My eyes were different. Darker. tired, like I hadn't slept in years. I started the car, drove home. Apartment looked the same. I walked in, felt heavy, went to the bathroom, mirror fogged. I wiped it, stared, and then I saw it, behind me, on the shelf. A small clock, white face, black hands. Stopped at 3:17. I didn't remember buying it. I don't remember much, actually. But I know this. The tea is still warm. The record is still playing. And somewhere, another guy is swiping right on her profile, thinking he's the first. Her name was Lila. Profile pic showed her leaning against a brick wall in what looked like downtown, wearing a black leather jacket, messy dark hair, one side tucked behind her ear. She wasn't overly polished like most people on there. No filters, no duck face, no trying too hard. Just real. Her bio said she liked rainy nights, horror movies, and driving with no destination. That last part got me. I've always been the same way, blasting music with no plan. Just me and the open road. I matched with her fast, like my thumb knew something my brain didn't. We started chatting. Nothing wild, just easy back and forth. She asked about my dog. I told her Bandit once ate an entire loaf of bread and lived. She laughed, typed it out. Not one of those fake haha things. Real laughter. We talked for hours. She sent a photo of her coffee mug that said ghost in the machine, and I swear something in my chest tightened. It felt like I'd known her for years. 3 days later, we decided to meet. She picked a place, a little dive bar called The Hollow, tucked between a laundromat and a shuttered comic store on 7th. Said it had the best mojitos and worst lighting, which made it perfect. I arrived early, nerves buzzing under my skin like static. The place smelled like old beer and cigarette smoke, even though they'd banned smoking years ago. Felt like the walls had soaked it all in. I grabbed a booth in the back, corner seat, the kind where you can see the whole room. Bandit stayed home, curled up on my hoodie like always. She walked in 10 minutes late, exactly on time in that cool, effortless way. Wore the same leather jacket, boots creaking slightly as she scanned the room. When she saw me, she smiled, not wide, not fake, just a small lift at the corner of her mouth, like she'd found something she'd been looking for. We talked like we were picking up from where we left off online. She told me about her job at a record store, how she hated people who tapped their fingers while waiting, how she once got lost in the woods for 6 hours and didn't panic. I told her about my mom's obsession with gardening, how I still couldn't cook to save my life, how I once saw a deer standing in the middle of the highway at 3 a.m., and it just stared at me like it knew something bad was coming. Time slipped. The bartender stopped by twice to ask if we wanted another round. I didn't even notice the place had emptied out until the lights flickered. Lila checked her phone, then looked at me. "Want to get out of here," she said. "My place is close. Quiet." I hesitated. Not because I didn't trust her. I did, weirdly, instantly. But because something in the way she said it, low and even, made the air feel thicker. But I nodded. We walked out together, the night cool and still, stars hidden behind city haze. Her car was an old Honda, dented on the passenger side, stickers on the back window I couldn't read in the dark. We drove in silence, her hand resting on the gear shift, music playing so low it was more vibration than sound. I watched streetlights blur past, the rhythm hypnotic. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor of a building that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 80s. Hallway smelled like mildew and something else, metallic, almost. Like wet pennies. Her place was small but neat. Books stacked neatly by the couch. A record player in the corner, a single lamp casting long shadows. She offered me water. I took it, sipped, and immediately felt my head go fuzzy, like I'd stood up too fast. I blinked, tried to focus. The room tilted slightly. "You okay?" she asked, sitting across from me. "Yeah," I mumbled. "Just dizzy." She didn't say anything, just watched me. Her eyes were darker than I remembered. Not black, but close, like the space between stars. I tried to stand, but my legs wouldn't listen. My arms felt heavy, like they were filled with sand. I slumped back into the couch. Panic flickered, weak and distant, like a phone with 1% battery. She got up, walked to the kitchen, came back with a towel and a small knife. Not a kitchen knife. Something smaller, sharper. Surgical. My heart thudded. Slow and thick. I couldn't move. Couldn't scream. Couldn't even blink fast enough. She knelt beside me. Brushed my hair back like she was comforting a kid. "You're not the first," she said, voice soft, almost gentle. "But you're the one who answered. The others, they swiped left. Or ghosted. Or made excuses. But you came. You listened. You saw me." I wanted to ask what she meant. Wanted to fight. But my body wasn't mine anymore. She ran the blade along my forearm. Not cutting. Just tracing. "It's not about you," she whispered. "It's about proof. That I exist. That someone notices. That someone stays." Then she pressed the towel to my arm and made the cut. Clean. Deep. I felt it. But it was muffled, like pain from a dream. Blood soaked into the towel fast. She didn't flinch. Didn't look away. Just watched it spread. Her face calm. Almost peaceful. That's when I saw it. The photo on the shelf behind her. A younger version of her, smiling, arm around another guy. Same leather jacket. Same quiet eyes. And on the table beside it, a stack of towels, all stained dark in the center. And another knife, clean, waiting. She wasn't killing me to hurt me. She was killing me to feel real. I don't know how long I sat there, bleeding, fading. The room blurred. The last thing I remember is her hand on my face, warm, and her voice. So close it felt like it was inside my head. "Thank you," she said. "You stayed." I woke up in a hospital. White walls. Beeping machines. Bandit curled up in a carrier beside the bed. Tail thumping when he saw me. Nurses said a neighbor heard a crash. Called the cops. Found me on her floor, unconscious. Arm wrapped in blood-soaked cloth. Lila was gone. No ID, no trace. Just an empty apartment. Furniture still there. Fridge full of food. Music paused on the record player. They said I was lucky. That the cut missed the artery by millimeters. That I lost a lot of blood but would recover. But that's not what sticks. What sticks is the photo they found in her bedroom. Not the one on the shelf. One on her phone. Me, asleep on her couch, before I even knew her name. Taken weeks ago. Before we matched. Before I ever saw her profile. And the messages. Not to me. To someone else. "Found him," once said. "He's the type. Quiet. Kind. Notices things." Another. "He'll stay. I can tell." They never found her. Cop said maybe she skipped town. Maybe she's still out there. Maybe she's already found the next one. I don't use Tinder anymore. Don't even keep the app on my phone. But sometimes, late at night, when Bandit's asleep and the house is too quiet, I catch myself looking at the door. Not because I'm scared she'll come back. Because part of me wonders if I'd let her. So I met her on Tinder, obviously. I mean, who doesn't? It wasn't like I was desperate or anything. But after 3 months of swiping left on girls who looked like they only ate kale and posted sunset yoga poses, I finally matched with someone who didn't make me want to delete the app. Her name was Maya, and her pictures were normal, actually normal. One was her laughing in front of a record store. Another was her holding a coffee cup with a dog poking its nose into the frame. And the last was a blurry shot of her hiking boots on a rocky trail. No duck faces, no mirror selfies in underwear, no weird fisheye lens crap. Just real. Her bio said, "I like thunderstorms, bad movies, and making people laugh. Also, I can beat you at Mario Kart." That was it. Something about that simplicity made me swipe right without even thinking. We started talking that same night. She responded fast, but not too fast, like she was trying too hard. She had this dry humor, the kind that sneaks up on you. I told her I worked in IT for a small company that no one's ever heard of, and she said she was a freelance illustrator who mostly drew for indie board games. We talked about stupid stuff, our favorite pizza toppings, pineapple, which I defended aggressively, whether Die Hard was a Christmas movie, it is, and how we both hate when people chew with their mouths open. It felt easy. Like actually easy. After a few days, I asked if she wanted to grab a drink. She said sure, but only if I promised not to ghost her like the last guy who bailed last minute saying his cat had a mental breakdown. I laughed and said no promises, but I'd try. We picked this little dive bar downtown, the kind with sticky floors and neon beer signs that flicker like they're about to die. I got there first and grabbed a corner booth near the back. It was a Thursday, so it wasn't packed, just a few regulars scattered around. One guy nursing a beer while staring at the pool table like he was solving the meaning of life. I was scrolling through my phone when she walked in. She looked exactly like her photos, which, let's be real, is rare. Wore a faded band tee I didn't recognize, ripped jeans, and a black denim jacket with a pin that said "Question Authority." Her hair was dark and messy in a way that looked intentional, but not try-hard. She spotted me, smiled, and slid into the booth like she'd been doing it for years. We ordered drinks. She got a rum and Coke. I stuck with beer and just started talking. Not the awkward first date small talk, but real conversation. She told me about how she grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone, and how she moved to the city to escape her mom's constant nagging about getting a real job. I told her about my weird obsession with old horror VHS tapes, and how I still have a working DVD player because I refused to give in to streaming. She didn't roll her eyes. She actually asked me what my favorite was. 3 hours passed like 30 minutes. The bar emptied out. The music got quieter, and the bartender started wiping down the counter like a hint. We were both laughing about something dumb, something about how squirrels are just rats with good PR, when she said, "You know, I live just around the corner. We could continue this there if you want. I have a killer collection of horror movies." I hesitated for half a second, not because I was scared, but because it felt too smooth, too perfect. But she wasn't pushy. She just tilted her head and said, "Or we can call it a night. No pressure." So I said, yeah, sure, why not? Her apartment was on the 3rd floor of this old brick building that looked like it hadn't been renovated since the 80s. The elevator didn't work, so we took the stairs. The hallway smelled like old carpet and something faintly sweet, like someone had spilled syrup years ago and no one ever cleaned it. Her place was small but cozy. Fairy lights strung across the ceiling, a record player in the corner, a bookshelf crammed with paperbacks and board games. A black cat jumped onto the couch and stared at me like I was under review. She put on a movie, some obscure Italian zombie flick from the 70s, and we sat on the couch with a bowl of popcorn. At first, it was cool. We made fun of the bad dubbing, argued about whether the zombies were actually vampires in disguise, and she kept refilling my drink. But then, halfway through, she got quiet. Not awkward quiet, more like focused. She kept looking at me, but not in a flirty way. More like she was studying me. Like I was a puzzle she was trying to solve. I started feeling it then. Not scared exactly, but off. Like the air had gotten heavier. The movie's soundtrack was all low drones and eerie whispers, and the lights from the TV flickered across the walls. She wasn't laughing anymore, just watching me. I tried to joke about it, said something like, "What? Do I have popcorn on my face?" But she didn't respond, just smiled. A small, tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Then she said, "You're not like the others." I froze. "What do you mean?" She leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. The other guys, the ones who said yes, they all thought it was going to be something else. But you're different. You actually listened. You actually saw me. I didn't know what to say. My heart was thudding, but I told myself to chill. Maybe she was just intense. Maybe she was into me in a deep way. But something in her voice, flat, almost rehearsed, made my skin prickle. I looked around for my phone. It was on the coffee table, next to her keys and a small silver lighter. She stood up suddenly and walked to the kitchen. "Want another drink?" she called over her shoulder. I said no thanks. I should probably head out. It's late. She came back anyway, holding a fresh glass. "You don't have to go," she said. "I like talking to you. I feel like I've known you forever." I stood up, trying to keep it casual. "Yeah, it's been great, but I've got an early day tomorrow." She didn't move, just stood there, blocking the path to the door. The cat hissed and darted under the couch. "I don't think you understand," she said. "You're not leaving." My breath caught. "What?" She set the glass down slowly. "I've been waiting for someone like you. Someone who gets it, who sees the world the way I do. The others, they were just noise. But you're real. I took a step back. Maya, this isn't funny. She tilted her head again, that same unnerving smile. I'm not joking. I've been watching you. For weeks. Since you liked my profile. I know where you work. I know your routine. I know you live alone. I know you don't have family nearby. My stomach dropped. You're serious. I followed you once, she said, calm, like she was talking about the weather. To that video store on 5th. You smiled at the old guy behind the counter. You always hold the door for people. You're kind. And kind people don't survive long out there. Not really. So I'm keeping you here, where you're safe. I bolted for the door. She was fast, faster than I expected, and grabbed my arm. I twisted, shoved her back, and yanked the door open. I didn't look back. I flew down the stairs, 2 at a time, my breath ragged, my hands shaking. I hit the street and didn't stop running until I was 3 blocks away, ducking into a 24-hour gas station. I called a cab, locked myself in my apartment, and didn't sleep all night. I blocked her on everything, Tinder, Instagram, phone. Changed my number the next day. For 2 weeks, I checked over my shoulder constantly. I stopped going to the video store. I avoided that part of town. I told myself I was being paranoid, that she was just some weird girl who got too intense. Long dark hair, sharp cheekbones. One of those smiles that looks like she's about to tell you a secret. Her bio was short. Into books, long walks, and ghost stories. Looking for someone who doesn't ghost. I remember laughing at that. Cheesy, but harmless. We matched within seconds. I sent a dumb joke about haunted libraries. She replied with a laughing emoji and said she'd just moved into an old house outside the city, one with history. That's when I should have stopped. But I didn't. I was bored, lonely, and honestly, a little flattered that someone like her would match with me. So I kept texting. She lived about 40 minutes from my place, deep in the woods near this town most people only pass through. The roads there are narrow, lined with pine trees, so thick they block out the sun even at noon. When I told my roommate I was going to meet her, he raised an eyebrow and said, "Dude, you really gonna drive out there to meet some girl from Tinder?" I shrugged it off. She seems cool. Plus, her profile picture was taken in a bookstore. How dangerous can she be? The drive felt longer than it should have. My phone's signal dropped halfway there, and the GPS started glitching, rerouting me down gravel roads that didn't show up on the map. I passed a broken-down gas station with the glass smashed out and a rusted sign that just said, "Open," even though nothing about it looked open. Then nothing. Just trees, silence, and the occasional deer staring at me like it knew something I didn't. When I finally pulled up to her house, I almost turned around. It wasn't just old. It looked like it had been forgotten. 2 stories, peeling white paint, windows so grimy they looked painted over. A single porch light flickered like it was about to die. The front yard was overgrown, and the mailbox hung off its post, swinging slightly in the wind. I sat in my car for a solid 5 minutes, trying to convince myself this was still a good idea. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel. I kept thinking about all the true crime podcasts I'd listened to while falling asleep. The ones where guys say, "She seemed normal," right before everything goes wrong. But I got out anyway. Walked up the cracked stone path, my shoes crunching on gravel. The front door opened before I could knock. She stood there, smaller in person, wearing a faded gray sweater and bare feet. Her skin was pale, almost too pale, like she hadn't been in the sun in weeks. But she smiled, and it was the same smile from her picture. "You made it," she said, stepping aside. "I wasn't sure you would." The inside was strange. Not dirty, but still. The air was thick, like walking into a library that hasn't been aired out in years. The furniture looked like it came from the 70s, plaid couch, with paneling, a record player in the corner with a stack of vinyls beside it. No TV, no laptop, just books. Everywhere. Shelves lined every wall, crammed full, some stacked on the floor. The only light came from a few standing lamps with yellow bulbs, casting long shadows that moved when I did. She offered me tea. I said yes because I didn't know what else to do. She disappeared into the kitchen, which was even darker, the tiles cracked and stained. I stayed in the living room, trying not to look too hard at the photos on the wall. Old family pictures, I assumed. But the people in them all had the same face. Same dark eyes, same sharp nose. Generations of Mayas, maybe. I blinked, leaned closer. No, that wasn't right. The photos weren't labeled. No dates. No names. Just faces staring out, blank, like they were waiting. She came back with 2 mugs. Handed me one. The tea was too hot. Smelled like herbs I couldn't name. I sipped it anyway. It tasted bitter, earthy. She sat across from me, curled up on the couch, watching me. Not smiling now. Just studying. We talked. Or I talked. Mostly about me. My job, my roommate. How I'd been single for over a year. She nodded, asked questions, but never really shared anything about herself. When I asked how long she'd lived there, she said, "A while." When I asked about her family, she looked at the photos and said, "They're all gone." I didn't press it. After a while, she suggested we go for a walk. Said there was a creek behind the house. A perfect spot to talk. I agreed, mostly because I wanted to get out of that house, even if it was just for a few minutes. We walked through the backyard, past a rusted swing set with no seat, into the trees. The path was narrow, barely visible, but she moved like she'd walked it 1,000 times. The woods were silent. No birds. No wind. Just our footsteps on the damp leaves. Then she stopped, turned to me. "Do you believe in past lives?" she asked. I laughed, nervous. Not really." "Why?" She didn't answer, just reached into her pocket and pulled out an old Polaroid, handed it to me. The photo showed a man, me, standing in front of this same house, wearing clothes from the 70s. Same haircut, same face. I stared at it. My heart started pounding. This isn't me," I said. "This is fake." She just looked at me. "You don't remember, do you?" I shook my head. "This is messed up. Where did you even get this?" "You left it behind," she said, "when you died." I took a step back. "What are you talking about?" She stepped forward. "You lived here. In the 70s. You were my husband. You promised you'd never leave. But you did. You drove away one night and never came back. I waited. For years. Then I found out you'd started a new life. A new family. You forgot me. Forgot us." I dropped the photo. "This is insane. I've never been here before. I don't know you." She smiled, but it wasn't kind. "You will. I've been calling you back. For years. Different names, different faces. But it's always you. And every time you come. Every time you sit in that living room. Every time you drink the tea. And every time you forget until the next life." I turned and ran. Didn't look back. Burst through the trees. Tripped on roots. Got back up. Kept going. My lungs burned. The house came into view. I sprinted to my car, fumbled with the keys, got in, slammed the door, started the engine. I didn't look at the house. Just reversed fast, spun the wheel, and peeled onto the road. I didn't stop driving until I was back in the city. Pulled into a gas station, hands shaking, face wet with sweat. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No messages. I opened Tinder, heart still racing. Scrolled to my matches. Maya's profile was gone. Deleted. I searched her name. Nothing. I tried to tell myself it was a prank. A really messed up, elaborate prank. But then I got home and went to take a shower. When I pulled off my shirt, I saw it. On my collarbone. A small scar. I'd never noticed it before. I don't remember how I got it. But in the dim bathroom light, I swear it looked like a bite mark. And then, later that night, I woke up to the sound of tea boiling. The kitchen light was on. I walked out, still half asleep, and there she was, standing in my kitchen, wearing the same gray sweater, holding 2 mugs. "You're home," she said. "I've been waiting." I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. She handed me a mug. The tea smelled familiar. "Drink," she said. "You always do." So I met her on Tinder, obviously. I mean, who doesn't? It wasn't like I was desperate or anything. But after 3 months of swiping left on girls who looked like they only ate kale and posted sunset yoga poses, I finally matched with someone who didn't make me want to delete the app. Her name was Maya, and her pictures were normal, like, actually normal. One was her laughing in front of a record store. Another was her holding a coffee cup with a dog poking its nose into the frame. And the last was a blurry shot of her hiking boots on a rocky trail. No duck faces, no mirror selfies in underwear, no weird fisheye lens crap. Just real. Her bio said, "I like thunderstorms, bad movies, and making people laugh. Also, I can beat you at Mario Kart." That was it. Something about that simplicity made me swipe right without even thinking. We started talking that same night. She responded fast, but not too fast, like she was trying too hard. She had this dry humor, the kind that sneaks up on you. I told her I worked in IT for a small company that no one's ever heard of, and she said she was a freelance illustrator who mostly drew for indie board games. We talked about stupid stuff, our favorite pizza toppings, pineapple, which I defended aggressively, whether Die Hard was a Christmas movie, it is, and how we both hate when people chew with their mouths open. It felt easy. Like actually easy. After a few days, I asked if she wanted to grab a drink. She said sure, but only if I promised not to ghost her like the last guy who bailed last minute saying his cat had a mental breakdown. I laughed and said no promises, but I'd try. We picked this little dive bar downtown, the kind with sticky floors and neon beer signs that flicker like they're about to die. I got there first and grabbed a corner booth near the back. It was a Thursday, so it wasn't packed. Just a few regulars scattered around, one guy nursing a beer while staring at the pool table like he was solving the meaning of life. I was scrolling through my phone when she walked in. She looked exactly like her photos, which, let's be real, is rare. Wore a faded band tee I didn't recognize, ripped jeans, and a black denim jacket with a pin that said "Question Authority." Her hair was dark and messy in a way that looked intentional, but not try-hard. She spotted me, smiled, and slid into the booth like she'd been doing it for years. We ordered drinks. She got a rum and Coke. I stuck with beer and just started talking. Not the awkward first date small talk, but real conversation. She told me about how she grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone, and how she moved to the city to escape her mom's constant nagging about getting a real job. I told her about my weird obsession with old horror VHS tapes, and how I still have a working DVD player because I refused to give in to streaming. She didn't roll her eyes. She actually asked me what my favorite was. 3 hours passed like 30 minutes. The bar emptied out. The music got quieter, and the bartender started wiping down the counter like a hint. We were both laughing about something dumb, something about how squirrels are just rats with good PR, when she said, "You know, I live just around the corner. We could continue this there if you want. I have a killer collection of horror movies." I hesitated for half a second, not because I was scared, but because it felt too smooth, too perfect. But she wasn't pushy. She just tilted her head and said, "Or we can call it a night. No pressure." So I said, yeah, sure, why not? Her apartment was on the 3rd floor of this old brick building that looked like it hadn't been renovated since the 80s. The elevator didn't work, so we took the stairs. The hallway smelled like old carpet and something faintly sweet, like someone had spilled syrup years ago and no one ever cleaned it. Her place was small but cozy. Fairy lights strung across the ceiling, a record player in the corner, a bookshelf crammed with paperbacks and board games. A black cat jumped onto the couch and stared at me like I was under review. She put on a movie, some obscure Italian zombie flick from the 70s, and we sat on the couch with a bowl of popcorn. At first, it was cool. We made fun of the bad dubbing, argued about whether the zombies were actually vampires in disguise, and she kept refilling my drink. But then, halfway through, she got quiet. Not awkward quiet, more like focused. She kept looking at me, but not in a flirty way. More like she was studying me. Like I was a puzzle she was trying to solve. I started feeling it then. Not scared exactly, but off. Like the air had gotten heavier. The movie's soundtrack was all low drones and eerie whispers, and the lights from the TV flickered across the walls. She wasn't laughing anymore, just watching me. I tried to joke about it, said something like, "What? Do I have popcorn on my face?" But she didn't respond, just smiled, a small, tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Then she said, You're not like the others." I froze. "What do you mean?" She leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. "The other guys, the ones who said yes, they all thought it was going to be something else. But you're different. You actually listened. You actually saw me." I didn't know what to say. My heart was thudding, but I told myself to chill. Maybe she was just intense. Maybe she was into me in a deep way. But something in her voice, flat, almost rehearsed, made my skin prickle. I looked around for my phone. It was on the coffee table, next to her keys, and a small silver lighter. She stood up suddenly and walked to the kitchen. "Want another drink?" she called over her shoulder. I said no thanks. I should probably head out. It's late. She came back anyway, holding a fresh glass. "You don't have to go," she said. "I like talking to you. I feel like I've known you forever." I stood up, trying to keep it casual. "Yeah, it's been great, but I've got an early day tomorrow." She didn't move, just stood there, blocking the path to the door. The cat hissed and darted under the couch. "I don't think you understand," she said. "You're not leaving." My breath caught. "What?" She set the glass down slowly. "I've been waiting for someone like you. Someone who gets it, who sees the world the way I do. The others, they were just noise. But you're real." I took a step back. "Maya, this isn't funny." She tilted her head again, that same unnerving smile. "I'm not joking. I've been watching you. For weeks. Since you liked my profile. I know where you work. I know your routine. I know you live alone. I know you don't have family nearby." My stomach dropped. "You're serious?" "I've followed you once," she said, calm, like she was talking about the weather. "To that video store on 5th. You smiled at the old guy behind the counter. You always hold the door for people. You're kind. And kind people don't survive long out there. Not really. So I'm keeping you here, where you're safe." I bolted for the door. She was fast, faster than I expected, and grabbed my arm. I twisted, shoved her back, and yanked the door open. I didn't look back. I flew down the stairs, 2 at a time, my breath ragged, my hands shaking. I hit the street and didn't stop running until I was 3 blocks away, ducking into a 24-hour gas station. I called a cab, locked myself in my apartment, and didn't sleep all night. I blocked her on everything: Tinder, Instagram, phone. Changed my number the next day. For 2 weeks, I checked over my shoulder constantly. I stopped going to the video store. I avoided that part of town. I told myself I was being paranoid, that she was just some weird girl who got too intense, that it would blow over. Then, last night, I came home and found it. On my kitchen table. A single Polaroid photo. Me sleeping in my bed, taken from the corner of the room. And on the back, written in neat cursive, "Asterisk, you can't run. I already know where you live. Asterisk."